The story of Ruth, one of the most beloved narratives in the Bible, is a tale of loyalty, love, and divine providence. Set in the time of the Judges, Ruth's story unfolds during a dark period in Israel's history, yet it shines as a beacon of hope and faithfulness. This remarkable account, preserved in the book of Ruth, spans 4 short chapters that reveal profound truths about God's character and his redemptive plan. Ruth was a Moabite woman who became part of God's grand design for salvation, showing that his grace extends beyond national and cultural boundaries. Her unwavering loyalty to her mother-in-law Naomi, her courage in the face of hardship, and her humility and faith ultimately led her to become an ancestor of King David and, ultimately, Jesus Christ. The story begins with Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, leaving Bethlehem to escape a famine. They sought refuge in the land of Moab, a region often at odds with Israel. While living in Moab, Elimelech died, leaving Naomi a widow. Her 2 sons married Moabite women. Mahlon married Ruth, and Chilion married Orpah. Tragically, after about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, leaving Naomi and her daughters-in-law as widows. In ancient times, widowhood often meant destitution, especially for women without male family members to provide for them. Naomi, now bereft of her husband and sons, decided to return to Bethlehem after hearing that the Lord had ended the famine in Israel. She urged Ruth and Orpah to return to their own families and remarry, as staying with her offered no prospects for a better future. Orpah, though reluctant, eventually heeded Naomi's advice and returned to her family. Ruth, however, refused to leave Naomi. Her words to Naomi are among the most moving declarations of loyalty in the Bible. "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried." Ruth 1:16-17. This profound commitment marked a turning point in Ruth's life. By pledging herself to Naomi and Naomi's God, Ruth demonstrated a faith that went beyond cultural and familial obligations. She chose to embrace a new identity and trust in the God of Israel. Ruth and Naomi arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest, a significant detail that foreshadows the provision and redemption to come. Naomi, whose name means pleasant, now called herself Mara, meaning bitter, reflecting her sorrow and feelings of abandonment by God. Ruth, however, began to work in the fields to provide for them, gleaning leftover grain as was customary for the poor. By divine providence, Ruth found herself gleaning in the field of Boaz, a wealthy and influential relative of Elimelech. Boaz noticed Ruth and inquired about her. When he learned of her loyalty to Naomi and her hard work, he extended kindness to her, ensuring her safety and allowing her to gather more than the usual share of grain. Ruth returned home with an abundant harvest, and Naomi recognized Boaz as their family redeemer, a kinsman who had the right to marry a widow to preserve her deceased husband's lineage. Naomi devised a plan to secure Ruth's future. She instructed Ruth to approach Boaz at the threshing floor and request him to act as her kinsman redeemer. In a display of humility and courage, Ruth followed Naomi's advice. She approached Boaz at night, uncovered his feet, and lay down. This act was not scandalous, but a culturally understood gesture, signifying a request for protection and redemption. Boaz, deeply moved by Ruth's character and her willingness to honor family obligations, agreed to redeem her. However, Boaz informed Ruth that there was a closer relative who had the first right to redeem. In the morning, Boaz met this relative at the city gate in the presence of the town's elders. When the man declined to redeem Ruth, Boaz declared his intention to marry her and uphold the family's legacy. The elders and the townspeople blessed Boaz, praying that his house would be as fruitful as that of Rachel and Leah, the matriarchs of Israel. Boaz and Ruth were married, and Ruth bore a son named Obed. Naomi, who had once felt abandoned by God, now held her grandson in her arms, her joy restored. Obed would become the grandfather of King David, anchoring Ruth's story firmly in the lineage of the Messiah. The story of Ruth is rich with lessons for believers. Ruth's unwavering devotion to Naomi exemplifies selfless love and sacrifice. Her decision to leave her homeland and embrace Naomi's God underscores the importance of commitment and faith. Despite immense personal loss, Ruth and Naomi trusted in God's provision. Their story reminds us that God is present even in our darkest moments, orchestrating events for his greater purpose. Ruth's arrival in Boaz's field was no coincidence, but a testament to God's guiding hand. This story illustrates how God works behind the scenes, weaving together the threads of our lives into his divine plan. Boaz's role as kinsman redeemer points to the ultimate redeemer, Jesus Christ. Through Boaz's actions, we see a picture of Christ's sacrificial love and his willingness to redeem us from sin. Ruth, a Moabite, became an integral part of Israel's history and the lineage of Jesus. Her story demonstrates that God's grace transcends ethnic and cultural barriers, welcoming all who turn to him in faith. Ruth's story is a timeless testament to God's faithfulness and the transformative power of loyalty and faith. From humble beginnings as a foreign widow, Ruth became part of God's redemptive plan for the world. Her life encourages us to trust in God's providence, remain steadfast in our commitments, and embrace the blessings that come from following him. If this story of Ruth has inspired you, consider exploring the lives of other biblical characters who teach us about faith, courage, and God's unchanging love. Subscribe to Bible Character Stories to dive deeper into these timeless narratives. Each story offers profound insights into God's plan and how he uses ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary purposes. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join us on this journey of faith and discovery.